Part 76. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 752. Therefore, Xian Yuan longer guessed. The top quality star ore that suddenly appeared in large quantities in the past 2 or 3 years was the reward given by the Hat Star people to Blue Star. Otherwise, who was responsible for such a big move? Xian Yuan longer told his ministers some of the truth, including his own guesses. The ministers understood it. It turned out that Blue Star was not a paradise at all, but just an ordinary mortal star. The spiritual energy and materials were common, and it suddenly skyrocketed in 2 or 3 years. To put it simply, Blue Star's foundation was too shallow. How could it rise against the sky in just 2 or 3 years? After all, you can't become a fat man in one bite. What's more, Your Majesty is only 25 years old, but he has already cultivated to the level of a 5th level god, which can be called a natural talent. The 5th level god is the term used by the Blue Star people, equivalent to the 5th level cosmic warrior, the 5th level of the divine realm. Given time, there will be another breakthrough. At that time, what will the mere strong dragon legion fear? The ministers thought so and felt relieved. Just then. Report, Your Majesty, Miss Alice just came out of retreat. A guard came to report. Xian Yuan longer and a group of important ministers were all delighted and stood up to greet her. Sister Longer Alice is now 23 years old, with long golden hair, handsome features, fair skin, and a hint of dignity and holiness. She is no longer the little girl of the past. Upon learning that Alice had broken through to the 5th order divine realm after coming out of retreat this time, Xian Yuan longer was overjoyed and immediately sent troops to fight the strong dragon legion. No, Your Majesty, absolutely not. Your Majesty, you and Miss Alice are both born with talent, and you will become great in time. Now that the strong dragon legion is so powerful, it is better to avoid the edge for the time being and wait until the breakthrough day before sending troops. A group of important ministers knelt down to advise. Xian Yuan longer shook his head and said, Alice and I have just broken through to the 5th level god not long ago. I don't know when we will break through again. At present, the strong dragon legion is violent and unjust, causing the people to lose their hearts and be displaced. We have no choice but to fight. Besides, although Kanglong Hadalong is strong, this emperor has the body of a divine dragon, and with Alice as a divine shepherd, if we defeat them one by one, we may be able to kill them all. At the end, Xian Yuan longer was already domineering and a group of important officials were all convinced and dared not say a word more. Your Majesty, who should we attack first? Kanglong Hadalong, Carrie asked. He was not good at thinking. When Brother Shui was there, he listened to Brother Shui, and when Brother Shui was not there, he listened to Longer. Hearing this, Xian Yuan longer was very decisive, Kang Long. The ministers were shocked and said, Your Majesty, it is said that the strength of this elder brother Kang Long is far superior to that of his younger brother Hadalong. Since we are going to defeat them one by one, why not start with the easy ones and then move on to the difficult ones? No. Xian Yuan longer said, that Hadalong is arrogant and thinks that he can flatten our Blue Star alone. If we send troops to attack Kang Long, who is stronger than him, he will only think that we are fighting against the stone with an egg and will die, and he will never help us. But the elder brother Kang Long is quite cautious. If we attack Hadalong first, he will definitely help us, and then we will have no chance of winning. Your Majesty is wise. The ministers looked at each other, all of them were very relieved and admired. After everything was finalized, Xian Yuan longer sent troops to attack Shenlong City. On the other side, Yang Tian, who had been flying in the void of the universe for several days, finally saw the appearance of Blue Star from afar. The first impression is that it is similar, very similar. In his opinion, Blue Star is very similar to Earth. Of course, Blue Star is much larger than Earth. Tisk, I didn't expect Blue Star to be so spiritual. This is the second impression. The spiritual energy of Blue Star is so rich that it feels like it is about to overflow, which is shocking. Even with Yang Tian's powerful consciousness, he can still distinguish the source of the rich spiritual energy of Blue Star. Kangnan Mine, Yang Tian was completely attracted to come here and wanted to find out. In fact, when the strong Dragon Legion landed on Blue Star, the landing point was also Kangnan Mine. There are no coincidences in the world, there are only causes and effects. There are more than a dozen mines in Kangnan Mine, and Yang Tian fell from the sky and came to the fifth mine. Then, the energy contained in those star mines can be so pure? Top-grade star mines, all of them are top-grade star mines. Looking at the star mines dug out by the miners and feeling the pure energy overflowing around, Yang Tian's face was so moved. It should be noted that star ore is a specialty of the insect domain, and even the entire universe. Even on Earth, where spiritual energy has revived, some star ore has been produced in the past 2 or 3 years. Like almost all minerals, star ore also has good and bad quality. Poor quality star ore is dark blue with only a few bright blue spots on it, and this type of inferior star ore is the most numerous and the most common. Star ore with slightly higher quality has fine bright blue lines on it in addition to some bright blue spots. The higher the quality of the star ore, the more spots and lines it has, and the rarer it is. Of course, some star ore has only one line on it, but that line is very broad and bright in color, so the quality is also very high. As for the best star ore, it is bright blue or dark blue all over, with gorgeous colors and beautiful appearance. It doesn't look like any ore at all, it is simply a treasure. The value of a top-quality star ore is comparable to hundreds of thousands or even millions of inferior star ore. Let me give you a simple example. Starry sky zergs often feed on star ore, so many zergs have insect pills in their bodies, and insect pills can be called a collection of energy. However, the value of a top-grade star ore is more than a first-level insect pill, which shows how precious top-grade star ore is. And now, the top-grade star ore discovered by Yang Tian is not 1 or 2, nor 100 or 200, but many, so many that it is difficult to measure. Let me ask, who would not be moved by this scene? With the arrival of Yang Tian, the fifth mine of Kangnan Mine has some unusual movements. Those miners unconsciously stopped their work and looked at Yang Tian. They had a vague feeling of déjà vu, but they couldn't remember it for a while. Asshole! Kangnan Mine is under the jurisdiction of our strong Dragon Legion. Those who trespass will die. The supervisor of the fifth mine hit the ground with a long whip, causing an explosion, trying to shock Yang Tian. But Yang Tian turned a deaf ear to him, and seemed to be still immersed in the shock of discovering a large amount of top-grade star ore. Yang Tian's attitude undoubtedly angered the supervisor, who suddenly swung his long whip and hit Yang Tian angrily. A snap sound made the surrounding miners' teeth tremble and unconsciously stepped back half a step. But Yang Tian, the person involved, was unharmed, and even the corners of his clothes and hair were not shaken at all. Ah! The supervisor seemed to have suffered a great humiliation, and became even more angry. He quickly threw the long whip aside, then drew out a sharp and tough long knife, and suddenly jumped up and slashed at Yang Tian. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 753. As his body rose up, divine light suddenly appeared all over his body, and surging divine power surged out. Who would have thought that a mere mine supervisor, an ordinary member of the strong Dragon Legion, could actually reach the third level of the divine realm? It's a pity that his cultivation level is still not enough for Yang Tian, very not enough. The overseer slashed violently, and Yang Tian took it with his bare hands. With a little force on his wrist, there was a click sound, and the tough long knife immediately broke into 2 pieces. All the mine slaves around were shocked. The supervisor himself had bulging eyes, as if he had seen a ghost, with an expression of disbelief and fear on his face. "Ha, with your cultivation, even if I stand still and let you chop me, you won't be able to hurt me at all," Yang Tian chuckled. Only then did the supervisor realize that he had encountered a problem, and quickly turned around and ran away. Phew! Yang Tian's strike was like lightning, and he grabbed the supervisor's neck in one move. He rose up and slammed him to the ground. Boom kakaka! The originally smooth and tidy ground cracked like a spider web in an instant, and the supervisor even sank in. His eyes turned white, he foamed at the mouth, and he didn't know whether he was alive or dead. The scene in front of them made the surrounding mine slaves drop their jaws in shock, and then they cheered loudly. Water God! Some mine slaves looked at Yang Tian's figure carefully and exclaimed. This moment was so extraordinary that almost all the mine slaves looked at Yang Tian intently, confused, surprised and nervous. "It's me!" Yang Tian waved his hand. In an instant, thunderous cheers and shouts erupted from the fifth mine, which was almost deafening. In the 5th year of Taixu, the name Muddy Waters can be called a myth. Not only the representatives and beliefs of the players, but also the NPCs, that is, the Blue Star people, are equally well known and known to everyone. In the game, you are our sparring partners, but in reality, we must be the strongest allies, Yang Tian stated his position in one sentence. The mining slaves below almost burst into tears. Blue Star is in dire straits today and is in urgent need of help. He is here. In the eyes of the Blue Star people, how brave he is. Was there anyone more dazzling than him in Taixu back then? No. Not only that, but under his light, everyone would be eclipsed. Who can forget the fear of being dominated by his madness in the past? He is simply synonymous with invincibility, omnipotent. With him here, what does the powerful Dragon Legion mean? Long live the Water God! Long live the Water God! Long live the Water God! The slaves of the 5th mine, no, from the moment Yang Tian descended, they were no longer slaves. At this time, they, the Blue Star people, expressed their most noble beliefs to Yang Tian. And this kind of belief even goes beyond their belief in their own kings and emperors. In their souls, a new energy called power of faith was born, which even they themselves could not see or realize. Then this energy rushed out of the body and rushed towards Yang Tian, and was later absorbed by Yang Tian's greedy wolf soul. Next, Yang Tian took these Blue Star people to other mines to rescue other mine slaves. When Yang Tian led his people to the 3rd mine, killed the overseers, rescued the slaves, triggered enthusiastic cheers, and absorbed more power of faith, Feng Xian's voice rang in his mind after a long absence. "Oh, you're lucky, you found something good." Yang Tian's heart trembled. He knew very well how noble Feng Xian was born and how arrogant his eyes were. The good things Feng Xian said must not be ordinary things. As soon as he thought about this, Yang Tian asked, "What good thing?" Feng Xian didn't say much, but pointed to a rock 30 meters away on the right side of Yang Tian. Yang Tian scanned it with his consciousness and found nothing special. There are a few pieces of top-grade star ore inside that mountain rock, but these mines are almost full of top-grade star ore. What's so strange? Although he was a little confused, Yang Tian still walked towards the rock and inspected it carefully. "No, it's not this rock, it's below," Feng Xian said. Yang Tian waved his hand, and the rock in front of him flew far away. At this time, a bloated, clumsy silver stone monster the size of a ripe winter melon jumped out in panic and quickly fled away. That is. Yang Tian was stunned, because it was only then that he discovered that the monster contained a terrifying spiritual energy. That aura is so huge, it is probably far greater than the total aura of Blue Star today except for it. Far better. The scary thing is, this strange thing is as eye-catching as an oasis in the desert or a lighthouse in the dark. It is only more than 30 meters away. He had not noticed it before. In fact, he had already come to it and couldn't find it before pushing away the rock. What kind of monster is that? The mine slaves all exclaimed. At this moment, even they could feel the majestic spiritual energy in the stone monster's body. Mother of the galaxy mine, Feng Xian said. Of course, his voice only sounded in Yang Tian's mind. Galaxy mine mother. That's right. Yang Tian, you have to know that star ore is not only a specialty of your insect domain, but in fact, things like star ore are very common in the vast universe. Feng Xian talked eloquently, saying, this thing will contain a little energy. In the universe, people use it for cultivation, and wild beasts eat it, which can make themselves stronger. Then do you know why star ore is called star ore? That's because star ore is based on planets. Almost all life planets will produce star ore, hidden in the rocks of mountains. It's nothing more than the quantity and quality. Yang Tian nodded slightly, so that's the case. Then this galaxy mother ore. Galaxy mother ore is named after the galaxy. You should know that countless planets are connected to form a galaxy. This shows how precious and rare this galaxy mother ore is. Feng Xian's tone was quite imposing, saying, don't say that you are just a lower domain, even in the upper domain, this galaxy mother ore is a treasure that countless people dream of. How many heroes have lost their lives to fight for this treasure? Feng Xian coughed, and then said, although I am not jealous, if I get it, I will also regard it as a treasure collection. Hearing this, Yang Tian was amazed. Feng Xian is so arrogant and self-centered that even he wants to collect it, which shows how precious this galaxy or mother is. Besides, this galaxy or mother is indeed very different from the star ore. Let's not talk about how much spiritual energy it has. Star ore is just a dead thing. And this galaxy or mother has become spiritual and has become a monster. It's not an exaggeration to say that it is a wild beast. And its method of hiding its breath is really clever. Not only Yang Tian, but in fact, all the masters of the Strong Dragon Legion and the native masters of Blue Star such as Xian Yu and Longer and Alice have come to it, but they have no reaction. If it weren't for the existence of Feng Xian, the old demon, Yang Tian would obviously miss it today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 754. Since it is known that the galaxy mineral mother is rare and precious, how can Yang Tian let it go? Swish. Yang Tian moved his body, and in the next moment he had caught up with the fleeing galaxy mineral mother and blocked her retreat. It's funny. The spiritual power of this galaxy mineral mother is so vast that people dare not underestimate it, but its combat power is extremely weak, or it can be said that it has no combat power at all. Seeing Yang Tian rushing towards her, the galaxy mineral mother suddenly showed a frightened expression, and was about to cry and aggrieved. But she just didn't run away. Perhaps she also knew that she could not escape from the palm of the human strongman. After catching the galaxy mineral mother, Yang Tian urged the divine power in his body to start refining. Tied to Yang Tian's feet and constantly having her spiritual power sucked away, the galaxy mineral mother showed a look of pain. It's a pity that although it is psychic, it can't make any sound, otherwise how miserable would it be? How vast is the spiritual power of this galaxy mineral mother? If compared with Yang Tian, then the galaxy or mother is the towering mountains, and Yang Tian is a small stone at the foot of the mountains. There is a world of difference. Yang Tian took a deep breath. He couldn't imagine what level his cultivation would reach if he completely refined the galaxy or mother. Of course. He also knew. Since the spiritual power of the galaxy or mother is so vast and pure, it must be extremely difficult to refine. It is definitely not a day or two, but at least 5 to 10 years. If you swallow it in one gulp and digest it with your gluttonous stomach, it will be much faster. Feng Xian Yang Tian shared the same mind. After learning about Yang Tian's thoughts, he was stunned at first, and then angrily scolded, "Stop it, you don't know the true value of the galaxy or mother. Why do you think there are so many top-grade star ores on Blue Star? No way." Yang Tian was stunned. He vaguely guessed something, but it was unbelievable. Feng Xian said, "This galaxy or mother does have very powerful spiritual power. If you refine it, your cultivation will surely increase. But compared to this, its real value lies in the fact that it can produce star ore, top-grade star ore. And the output is very high. You think there are many top-grade star ores on this blue planet, but this masterpiece is actually only the work of the galaxy or mother for 5 or 6 years. So, to a certain extent, this galaxy or mother is what you call a cornucopia. If you need to cultivate talents or build forces in the future, you will save a lot of trouble with this galaxy or mother." Sure enough. Yang Tian's heart moved, and he quickly stopped the action in his hand. At this time, the painful expression of the galaxy or mother relaxed, and she was panting. Feng Xian said, "Although this galaxy or mother has spiritual intelligence, its combat power and vitality are extremely weak. If you were a little later, it would have died." Yang Tian was stunned. What will happen if it dies? If it dies, it is still a huge treasure, but not a cornucopia, Feng Xian said lightly. Yang Tian felt a chill on his back, and sighed that he almost made a big mistake. Afterwards, using the white crystal as a medium, Yang Tian placed the galaxy or mother into the Taixu world. The latter was like a fish in water, and instantly burrowed into the ground and disappeared. "Congratulations to the water god for winning the treasure," a group of miners congratulated. Of course, they didn't know the true value of the galaxy or mother, but they roughly knew that it was a treasure. Yang Tian nodded. He knew in his heart that the galaxy or mother was probably a reward from the Hat Star to Blue Star, and in order to help Blue Star develop, it might be taken back in the future. It was unreasonable for him to take it away like this. But if he didn't take it away, wouldn't it be a bargain for those people in the Strong Dragon Legion? Compared to Blue Star, it is obviously safer to put the galaxy or mother in his own Taixu world, even if it is for Blue Star to keep it. Kangnan Mine Management Office, Haolong Squadron. Report. With a hasty roar, a supervisor ran in and knelt on the ground with a bang. His face was extremely panicked. A brother next to him handed him a bowl of wine, but he didn't care to drink it. He cried and shouted, "Deputy Captain, someone made a big fuss in my Kangnan mine, killing and releasing all the way. Now 567. Several mines have fallen. Those damn miners either followed him to continue killing or ran away. We suffered heavy losses." Hearing this, Deputy Captain Haolong did not show surprise or anger, and even did not put down the wine glass he picked up. Instead, he said excitedly, "Xianyuan Long did she finally hold back and take action? He has been on this Blue Star for a while. He basically knows the famous strong men on Blue Star, and even killed many of them with his own hands. In his opinion, Blue Star is a slaughterhouse, full of ants. The only person he really cares about is Xianyuan Long. He cares about Xianyuan Long, not only because of Xianyuan Long's strength, but more because of Xianyuan Long's reputation and status in Blue Star. In Blue Star, Xianyuan Long is the undisputed #1 strong man, full of benevolence and righteousness, and he can get 100 responses. Such a person is like the commander in the army, like a disaster savior, like the incarnation of heaven. He bears too much faith. Once this person dies in danger, the sky will fall, people will lose hope and faith, and it will be a devastating blow to the entire Blue Star. By then, the Strong Dragon Legion will be able to enslave the entire Blue Star without any effort. So, Haolong has long wanted to fight with Xianyuan Long and kill him, telling those lowly ants on Blue Star, 'Your empress is just like this, despair, haha. It's a pity that since the strong Dragon Legion invaded Blue Star, Xian Yuan longer has been hiding and refusing to come out, just like a turtle. Now, when he heard the news that Xian Yuan longer had come out, how could he not be excited? Haha, take my sword. The turtle-like guy, I'm going to chop her alive today. Hadalong laughed and stood up, and suddenly smiled wretchedly. By the way, it is said that Xian Yuan longer is the most beautiful woman in Blue Star? Tisk tisk, wouldn't it be a pity to chop her like that? Hearing this, all the men looked at each other and showed a smile that all men understand. Deputy, deputy, the person coming is not Xian Yuan longer, the supervisor said with a stiff face. Although he had never seen Xian Yuan longer, he knew that Xian Yuan longer was a woman and Yang Tian was a man. What, not Xian Yuan longer? Who is so brave? Hadalong was furious. On that day, he killed many top masters of Blue Star in succession, and he thought he had scared those ants out of their wits. Today, someone came to provoke him without knowing the consequences, which was really asking for death. The supervisor said, he didn't say his name, but the miners called him the water god. He looked so surprised and enthusiastic. I'm afraid that his status in their minds is not lower than Xian Yuan longer. The supervisor said again, moreover, this person's strength is unfathomable, and there is no fluctuation of divine power around him. Killing my brothers with physical strength alone is like killing pigs and dogs. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 755. I'm afraid that his status in their hearts is not lower than that of Xian Yuan longer. More than that. In the hearts of these mining slaves, Yang Tianke is the real god of war. In Taisu, although Xian Yuan longer was the empress of the restoration of the country, it was Yang Tian who commanded the troops and expanded the territory. Yang Tian even shocked the entire Taixu world with his own power. How brave is that? In their opinion, apart from the black spot that he is not a Blue Star person, Yang Tian has almost every advantage, which makes people admire him. Now, Yang Tian has saved them from the sea of knives and fire, and his figure is even taller and majestic. A mere mortal star actually hides such a powerful person. Hadalong was startled. Based on his conduct and a few words from his subordinates, he determined that Yang Tian was a super strong man. It should be noted that the supervisors he sent out were all third-level space warriors. That man could easily be killed instantly with just his physical strength, so how powerful must his divine power be? The world thinks that cultivating the divine power is the right path and cultivating the divine body is the wrong path, so they disdain cultivating the divine body. However, as the cultivation of divine power increases, the divine power will also nourish the divine body. In other words, the stronger the divine power, the stronger the divine body will be. For example, How Long majored in divine power and was a 6th level cosmic warrior. He had never deliberately cultivated the divine body, but he knew that his divine body cultivation was at the level of a 4th level cosmic warrior. That man killed a 3rd level cosmic warrior in an instant with his physical strength alone. His spiritual body cultivation level is at least level 4. Then his divine power cultivation level is probably also at level 6. Unless he majored in the divine body and wasted his divine power. No, it's impossible. Cultivating the divine body is 100 times more difficult than cultivating the divine power. Where are there any fools who major in cultivating the divine body in the world today? Then, his strength must be no less than mine. Haha, okay, Hadalong's eyes flashed with sharpness. This person is a warlike person by nature. He had been dominating the Blue Star for several months, and he felt refreshed, but he had also faded away and his hands were itchy. Now that he faced a well-matched opponent, his fighting spirit was soaring. He shouted, "Brothers, follow me to face the enemy." The army rolled out. Soon after, Yang Tian and How Long's army met at the 9th mine. However, behind Yang Tian was a large group of mining slaves, with no fighting power. Behind Hadalong, there are all 3rd and 4th level space warriors, well equipped and full of fighting spirit. Hadalong is 2 meters long, has a strong body and looks powerful. I saw a 5-foot sword on his shoulder. The blade was dark and shining. It was a sacred weapon. He glanced at Yang Tian, patted his chest and said, "I am Hao Long, the deputy commander of the Qianglong Legion." "Who are you?" "Yang Tian." As soon as Yang Tian finished speaking, the dragon had already risen from the ground, and the rock at its feet was cracked. "Call out." In the next moment, he had already rushed 3 meters in front of Yang Tian. Amid the screams of the mine slaves, he raised his sword and slashed at Yang Tian's head. Yang Tian's eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a phantom of Suanwu appeared, covering Yang Tian and all the mining slaves behind him. The huge Suanwu seemed to have the weight of history and was indestructible. Boom! Hadalong's sword slashed hard at Suanwu's body. Suanwu didn't move at all, but thunder exploded on the ground beneath his feet, smoke and dust billowed, and the strong shock wave tore the entire mine apart, which was shocking. The power of the dragon's sword is so terrifying. It's a pity that no one was hurt. "Guardian of the divine turtle," the mine slaves exclaimed. In the 5 years of Taixu, they have already become aware of the water god's various methods. There, the water god is a player, killing many of their NPCs to pieces, which is truly disgusting. Who would have thought? Now that the water god has become a teammate, he is so reliable. At this time, the blood of the mine slaves present was inexplicably boiling, their souls were trembling, and they were almost trembling with excitement. At the same time, I can't help but feel guilty. The power of Hadalong's sword is so terrifying. If it weren't for the protection of the water god's turtle, they would have been dead souls under the sword, leaving no trace of their armor. As a result, their respect and worship for Yang Tian increased to a higher level. Yang Tian glanced at Hadalong and said sarcastically, "Dignified deputy captain, are your methods so despicable?" Hadalong's sword attack just now was apparently attacking Yang Tian, but in fact it was also killing the mining slaves, forcing Yang Tian to take it. If Yang Tian doesn't pick it up, all the mine slaves will be destroyed. If Yang Tian had taken it, half of them would have died due to the residual force of the shock wave. Fortunately, there are turtles to protect us. This person pretends to be warlike and crazy, but in fact he does everything he can. Despicable? Why am I like this? Hadalong said with a smile, "Those mine slaves are so weak, as cheap as ants, they deserve to die. I didn't force you to accept my attack." Yang Tian said no more, but his body was gradually covered with dragon scales, and golden light shone. In the blink of an eye, Yang Tian turned into a humanoid dragon beast, and the swing of its slender dragon tail caused the surrounding air to tremble. "Transform into a divine dragon," the mine slaves roared again, eager and excited. In fact, this is no longer a divine dragon transformation, but a rising dragon transformation. At the moment, Yang Tian only activated one stage of Shenlong transformation. Even so, his divine body cultivation and divine power cultivation increased tenfold. He could completely feel that his heartbeat became slow and strong. The blood flowing in the body became hot and turbulent, and even had a faint golden luster. The dragon claws clenched slightly, as if crushing the air, strangely causing a sharp explosion sound, and even the surrounding space trembled due to instability. Such a posture is simply daunting and frightening. Hadalong and his men were not only shocked and stunned. It was simply horrified. Especially Hadalong. He clearly felt that Yang Tian's aura was far superior to his now. Even if he was more belligerent, the gap might not be made up. Why, Hadalong was shocked, angry, and even more unbelievable. He had heard that Xianyuan Long the first empress and the first beauty of Blue Star, had the blood of a divine dragon and the body of a divine dragon. That kind of blood and physique can be said to be invincible at the same level, and there is the possibility of challenging across levels. Because of this, even though he knew that Xian Yuanlong's cultivation was far inferior to his, he did not dare to underestimate her. But Xian Yuanlonger was famous after all, and was recognized as the strongest person by the people of Blue Star. The man in front of him is strong, but he is unknown. At least for several months, How Long has not heard of such a person on Blue Star. How can he have such a heaven-defying dragon bloodline? Unfortunately, he doesn't know that Yang Tian has 7 bloodlines like the dragon bloodline at the same time. If he knew, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Swish. Yang Tian moved suddenly, shot up, and swung a punch at How Long. It was a punch without any fancy moves. It can only be expressed in one word, fast. How Long, however, was like facing a great enemy, and quickly blocked it with his sword. Bang. Some people say that the following content is not written by me, but lost the gun. No, I am still writing it. If you think the quality of the article has declined, it's normal. Because although I am a veteran of the game, I am a fantasy rookie. Now I think the following content is only a third-rate fantasy level. I am very shy. Please forgive me. Snail transformed into a fantasy novel with 700,000 words, and Kongdi transformed into a novel called The Road to Awakening, which took 5 years to write only half of it. Yezi, Mars, etc., how did they perform after they turned to fantasy novels? Transformation is undoubtedly very difficult. Even great writers are like this. What can a small 18th tier author like me do? I just have to work my way up. In fact, I regret it very much. I should have forced the end of the game chapter. I overestimated my ability. It is so uncomfortable for me to write it, and it is also uncomfortable for everyone to be hanging. I really regret it. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 756. Yang Tian was only 1.8 meters tall. Although his human dragon form was a bit stronger, he did not become taller. How Long was 2 meters tall and very strong, looking much taller than Yang Tian. Unfortunately, he could not block Yang Tian's punch. Amid screams, How Long flew backwards like a cannonball, and the sword in his hand had already bounced off. This sword was considered a divine weapon. It did not break even after Yang Tian's dragon-like punch, but a deep fist mark was left on the back of the sword. Boom! With a burst of sound like the compression of air, Yang Tian's body flashed out like a swimming dragon. In the blink of an eye, he came behind How Long again, and stretched out his dragon claws and easily pinched the back of How Long's neck. The latter seemed to be strangled, and dared not move. The golden human dragon stood proudly in the air. Although How Long was larger, he was like a toy in Yang Tian's hands. Yang Tian turned it over, and the golden pupils made How Long tremble. Yang Tian said coldly, "You are also weak, as cheap as grass, so you have to die too." Crack. After saying that, Yang Tian directly twisted How Long's neck without mercy. The miners were naturally accustomed to Yang Tian's iron-blooded methods, but How Long's men were so scared that their hands and feet were weak and their shits were pissing. Strong Dragon Legion Deputy Captain How Long, the 6th-level space warrior of the Alliance, died just like that. How Long's men couldn't believe it for a while. How Long always boasted of being strong and powerful, and even if he died, he wanted to die in a blazing manner. But now, he died so miserably. He was not even a match for the water god. It's terrible. The water god's strength is probably not even comparable to that of Captain Ying Long. Run, run, How Long's men woke up as if from a dream. In their eyes, Yang Tian was simply a human-shaped beast, killing people like flies. Even the deputy captain was almost killed instantly, let alone them. If he didn't run, how could he still be alive? In an instant, How Long's men scattered like birds and beasts. In midair, The golden dragon scales on his body turned into light and dissipated, and Yang Tian returned to his original appearance. He had already mastered the 5th stage of the Ascension Dragon transformation, and was extremely proficient in the Ascension Dragon transformation. That's why he could maintain the state of the 1st stage of the Ascension Dragon transformation for a long time without any sequelae. But despite this, he didn't want to waste his energy in vain. With a wave of his hand, a huge black cloud rolled up behind him, and the long-lost undead army appeared with a gloomy and terrifying aura. The first echelon, the Lich King and 5 bone dragons, their ranks are synchronized with their master, and they are 5th level wild beasts. The aura of each bone dragon is extremely terrifying. The second echelon is the Black Knight, the skeleton demon general and the like. They are 1 rank lower than the master, and are currently at the level of 4th level wild beasts. Each team has 100 people, and the total number exceeds 1,000. The third echelon is skeleton warriors, skeleton mages, skeleton archers, zombies, and the like. They are 2 levels lower than their masters and are currently at the level of 3rd level wild beasts. Each team has more than 1,000 people, and the total number exceeds 10,000. Finally, the Lich King stood up and waved his hand. 5 more bone dragons and an undead army of the same size appeared. 2 or 3,000 undead armies stood behind Yang Tian, and the dark mass almost covered the sky and the sun. The gloomy and terrifying atmosphere swept the entire world, making every enemy terrified. Kill, leave no one alive. At Yang Tian's order, the Lich King screamed fiercely and led the undead army to swoop down towards the Strong Dragon Legion. Strong Dragon Legion Haolong's team has about 300 to 500 people, almost all of whom are 3rd level and 4th level cosmic warriors. This scale is not even enough to fill the gaps in the teeth of the undead army. They will be killed in minutes and run away with their heads in their arms. Kill. This scene aroused the long-lost passion in the hearts of the miners, and they roared and rushed towards the people of the Strong Dragon Legion. The strength of the miners is generally very weak, most of them are only at the level of the Holy Domain, and only a few have reached the level of the 1st level cosmic warriors. But they have the protection of the Divine Turtle. Even if they can't kill the enemy can't hurt them. A moment later, the Strong Dragon Legion was completely destroyed, the Kangnan Mountains were completely liberated, and the miners were completely liberated. After hugging and celebrating, the miners said respectfully, "Water God." Yinglong led the main force of the Strong Dragon Legion and occupied the Dragon Empire. Well, Yang Tian nodded, looked around and said, "Who of you is willing to help me show the way?" I. Almost everyone volunteered. Yang Tian randomly picked a 10-year-old boy, dispersed the undead legion, and rode a bone dragon towards the Dragon Empire. On the side of the Dragon Empire, the battle between the army led by Xianyuan Longer and the Dragon Legion has already reached a white-hot stage. The 2 armies are fighting below, and Xianyuan Longer and Yinglong are fighting in the air. As for Alice, she stands behind the army of the Dragon Empire, taking care of 2 battlefields at the same time. Each halo can make a group of people's fighting power surge and their fighting spirit surge. Each holy light can heal the wounds of a group of wounded and relieve the fatigue of war. You are worthy of being the strongest on this planet, and your body of the dragon is really well deserved. Yinglong held a spear and stood proudly in the air, looking at Xianyuan Longer with a hint of admiration in his eyes. At this time, Xianyuan Longer had already turned into a dragon. But even so, her graceful body was still left with several blood holes by Yinglong's spear, and the extremely dense and tough dragon scales were broken, and blood flowed. If it weren't for Alice to scavenge her, she would probably have more wounds now. In fact, she had just broken through not long ago, and had the cultivation of the initial stage of the 5th level of the Divine Realm. After the dragon transformation, she was comparable to the strong man of the initial stage of the 6th level of the Divine Realm. Even because of the strength of the Divine Dragon body, she had few opponents among the strong men of the initial stage of the 6th level of the Divine Realm. However, Yinglong was a strong man at the peak of the 6th level of the divine realm. He had divine power that was several times greater than hers. What's more terrifying is, Yinglong not only had a high level of cultivation and vast divine power, but his spearmanship was also very good. A spear was like a living thing in his hand, and he was both offensive and defensive. Xianyuan Longer made several moves but failed. After the fierce battle, Yinglong was still unscathed. Strong, unattainable strong. However, there is a more serious problem facing Xianyuan Longer now. Her physical strength has been exhausted. Compared with ordinary people, Xianyuan Longer is very talented and can be regarded as a genius. However, compared with the monsters like Yang Tian Huangmao, she is not outstanding, and can even be said to be average. There are 9 stages in the Rising Dragon transformation, and every 3 stages are a barrier. Every time you cross a barrier, you will have a huge improvement. Unfortunately, Xianyuan Longer has only mastered the 3rd stage of the Rising Dragon transformation so far, and has not crossed a barrier. If she opens the 3rd stage with full firepower, she can only last for 1 minute or half a minute at most. Even the 1st stage can only last about 10 minutes, and there will be a strong backlash afterwards. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 757. The Rising Dragon transformation is against the will of heaven. Its principle is to burn dragon blood, strengthen dragon energy, and strive to burst out powerful strength in a short period of time. The dragon transformation in Taixu before, burst out for 1 minute, and then weaken for 3 to 5 minutes. Of course, this is also the case in reality, and it will only be more serious. Xianyuan Longer is a strong man in the early 5th level of the divine realm. With her physical strength, she can fight for 10 days and 10 nights without sleep. But after opening the 1st stage of the Rising Dragon transformation, every minute will consume a lot of physical strength and a lot of blood. Now 7 or 8 minutes have passed, her physical strength has been exhausted, and she has begun to pant. This, Empress Xianyuan has shown signs of fatigue. Ah! How could this happen? If God does not bless my blue star, everything will be over. Xianyuan Longer vs Yinglong, the Divine Dragon Empire vs the Strong Dragon Legion, what a grand battle this is. In the entire Xianyuan Empire, almost all the strong men who had reached the Divine Realm participated in the war. Those in the Holy Domain could not participate in the war, but they also came to the battlefield to cheer. Countless strong men from the empires, kingdoms, and principalities near the Xianyuan Empire also came spontaneously. Even the envoys from distant countries were watching the battle on the spot. The momentum was not only huge, but also the battle was not only tragic. Why? Because this battle almost determined the survival of Blue Star. Xianyuan Longer was the strongest man on Blue Star, and the Xianyuan Empire was also the most prosperous. If they all lost to Yinglong and the Qianglong Legion, what hope would other countries have? But now, Yinglong was unscathed and at ease, but Xianyuan Longer was already showing signs of fatigue. Seeing this, the strong men of various countries and the envoys of distant countries were more than disappointed. It was simply despair. Only then did they realize that Xianyuan Longer was no match for Yinglong. If it weren't for Alice, she would have died in battle. Xianyuan Longer, you are a woman who has defeated so many powerful people and become the master of a world. I really admire you. Yinglong looked at Xianyuan Longer with ease, and his admiration was undisguised. He said seriously, if you surrender to me today and become my woman, I will not only not kill you, but I will also give you 10% of the top quality star ore that is abundant in this blue star. Xianyuan Longer was furious when she heard this. Why do I need you to give me my blue star assets? Shameless man, I would rather die than surrender, Xian Yuan Longer shouted loudly, but she used too much force and felt dizzy. This shocked her. She was so weak. It seems that there is not much time left. This is not a solution. It seems that I can only take the last step. Xian Yuan Longer was determined. The so-called last step is naturally the third stage of the rising dragon transformation. Yin. A dragon roar sounded, and a ball of fighting spirit suddenly burst out from Xian Yuan Longer's body. The shape of the fighting spirit kept changing and gradually turned into a dragon shape. It was not as domineering as Yang Tian, but rather graceful. Almost in the blink of an eye, Xian Yuan Longer's breath doubled. "No, Sister Long," Alice almost broke her voice in shock. As a good sister, she knew Xian Yuan Longer inside out. She knew very well that Xian Yuan Longer was not proficient in the third stage of the rising dragon transformation. Forcing it to open like this would almost burn her life. Indeed. After opening the third stage of the rising dragon transformation, Xian Yuan Longer did have the possibility of fighting Yinglong, but it could only last for a minute at most, which was still too risky. Unless Yinglong is killed within 1 minute. Otherwise, he will be defeated, exhausted, unable to move, and can only be slaughtered. Why is it so? Sister Longer, we are still young, we can bear the humiliation and slowly take revenge later. Alice burst into tears. But now that things have come to this, she also knows that she can no longer stop Xian Yuan Longer. Below. The strong men of various countries and the envoys of distant countries all trembled in their hearts and stood in awe. It is better to die in glory than to live in disgrace. Empress Xian Yuan is really a heroine. It is better to die in glory than to live in disgrace. It is better to die in glory. Below, countless local strong men of Blue Star roared loudly, and their fighting spirit was excited. Surrounded by the dragon-shaped fighting spirit, Xian Yuan Longer's breath continued to rise. The middle stage of the 6th level of the Divine Realm. The late stage of the 6th level of the Divine Realm. Even the wounds on Xian Yuan Longer's body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The dragon scales continued to compress inward, becoming denser and tougher. These changes seemed to be achieved at the cost of burning life. Just when Xian Yuan Longer's breath was about to reach its peak, a big hand landed on her shoulder silently. You must know how violent the dragon-shaped fighting spirit was. But the palm was intact, and not only that, the palm actually gushed out dragon energy far superior to Xian Yuan Longer, forcibly suppressing Xian Yuan Longer's dragon energy. It forcibly resolved Xian Yuan Longer's dragon state. Alice was startled. The dwarf warrior Carrie was startled. Below, almost all the native strongmen of Blue Star were stunned. Xian Yuan Longer's beautiful eyes trembled, and she was stunned. I'm here, leave it to me next. Patting Xian Yuan Longer on the shoulder, Yang Tian took 2 steps forward in the air, protecting Xian Yuan Longer behind him. The familiar breath and the overbearing yet gentle tone made Xian Yuan Longer's nose sore, and she was inexplicably surprised, and tears could not be restrained and flowed down. Great, Alice's tears did not stop, but became more violent. Who are you? Yinglong stared at Yang Tian, his eyes more solemn than ever before. Who is this person? When did he come? I didn't even notice it. And there is no divine power fluctuation around him. Why is his breath so strong? What is his cultivation? Yinglong is cautious by nature, his strength is far better than Xian Yuan Longer, but he did not underestimate Xian Yuan Longer. Now that a guy who is hard to see through has come, he dare not underestimate him, and even fully guards, as if facing a great enemy. Report. At this time, a strong man from the Jianglong Corps flew into the air, half knelt in the air, and said in panic, Captain, something happened at the Kangnan mine. The deputy captain and the brothers, all died in battle. What? Yinglong couldn't believe it, and his heart was in chaos. Who killed my second brother? Yinglong's eyes were red. He and Hadalong are like brothers, it is a true relationship, otherwise why would Hadalong be in charge of such an important place as Kangnan Mine? The miners escaped, and they said that it was the water god who saved them. The strong man of the Qianglong Corps said. Water god, the people below were shocked. His, water god. Is it the one in Taegzu? Look, the Empress is crying. It's him, it must be him, he's here. Otherwise, apart from him, who else can make the Empress cry? Great, great. If it's him, what is a mere Yinglong and a mere Qianglong Corps? Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 758. Looking up at Yang Tian's figure, the people of Blue Star felt their blood boiling. Water God. In their opinion, this is a legendary name. In Taegzu, this man left them with an indelible impression, repeatedly creating miracles, as if he could do anything. Today, when the survival of Blue Star is at stake, this man actually came. This is a miracle in itself. The water god should be an earthling. Why is he here? The people of Blue Star were simply surprised and happy. But looking up and glancing at Xian Yuan Longer and Alice, they were soon relieved. That's right. Whether it is our Empress or Miss Alice, they have an unclear relationship with the water god. Yang Tian's arrival brought hope to the people of Blue Star and was exciting. At the same time, it also brought a threat to Yinglong and the strong Dragon Legion. Are you the water god? Did you kill my second brother? Scarlet bloodshot crawled up the corners of his eyes. Although he was not sure yet, Yinglong's eyes looking at Yang Tian were already filled with deep hatred. Hadalong? He's just a lowly person. Yang Tian looked disdainful. Die. Yinglong groaned, and the spear came out like a dragon. The powerful and surging divine power condensed at the tip of the spear, piercing the air all the way, causing a series of explosions, and blasted towards Yang Tian without reservation. With this shot, he exerted the strength of the peak of the 6th level of the divine realm to the fullest. Feeling the power of Yinglong's divine power, Yang Tian did not dare to be arrogant, and directly activated the first stage of the ascending dragon transformation, burning dragon blood, sublimating dragon energy, and turning into a human dragon form. Speaking of it, whether it is divine power or divine body, Yang Tian only has the cultivation of the initial 5th level of the divine realm. Because of the special physique of the 7 bloodlines, his divine body is 7 times stronger than those in the same realm, and his divine power is also 7 times more powerful than those in the same realm, comparable to the strong at the peak of the 5th level of the divine realm. But even so, the gap between him and Yinglong is still a whole level. And the first stage of the ascending dragon transformation can just improve 1 level. The dragon-like Yang Tian lowered his knees slightly to accumulate strength, and then he shot out like a cannonball, also punching towards Yinglong. No skills, no fancy, just pure strength competition. Boom. Almost in the blink of an eye, Yang Tian's dragon fist collided fiercely with Yinglong's spear, and the shock wave swept out violently, causing the surrounding air to vibrate violently. Then, the two retreated 8 feet back, and their feet plowed out long waves of air in the air. In a pure strength competition, the two were evenly matched. Next, it was a competition of martial arts and supernatural powers. Yinglong used a spear as his arm, and he had a little practice in the way of spears. Every time he shot, the angle was tricky, constantly hitting Yang Tian, sparking sparks. At the same time, he was also well versed in defense, and was well deserved to be both offensive and defensive. Yang Tian punched countless times, and without exception, Yinglong blocked and unloaded the force. Look, Yinglong is really good, his spear skills are amazing, and the water god can't hurt him. Nonsense, after all, he is a great leader from the Alliance, a peak powerhouse among the 6th level universe warriors, and only half a step away from the legendary hero. If he doesn't even have this little strength, then what's the point of playing? Anyway, the water god is invincible, he must have a trump card. You are talking nonsense. Our leader is a genius, and he hasn't met an opponent for more than 10 years. That kid called the Water God is not our leader's opponent at all, you should just give up. This fierce battle made countless people below nervous. After more than 10 minutes of fierce fighting, Yang Tian and Ying Long fought against each other for thousands of moves, and neither of them showed signs of fatigue, nor was injured, and their breath was still steady. Ying Long was shocked. It was normal for him to be in good condition. After all, he was powerful and had exquisite spear skills. In the thousands of moves before, Yang Tian never broke through his defense. He was unscathed, so of course he was in good condition. But Yang Tian was different. In the thousands of moves, his spear hit Yang Tian hundreds of times. The difference in martial arts between the two sides was immediately apparent. However, even though he hit Yang Tian hundreds of times, he still didn't hurt him. He just caused some sparks on his dragon scales. He couldn't believe it. He was at the peak of the 6th level cosmic warrior, and the spear in his hand was a divine weapon. His combat power was the best under the 7th level heroes. However, he couldn't break through the defense. How terrifying was that guy's defense? And Dragonization, a blood power that defies the heavens, should only be effective for a short period of time, and the backlash should be great. Ying Long felt his scalp tingling. The same dragonization, the same blood power, Xian Yuan Longer had only persisted for a few minutes before showing signs of fatigue, but what was wrong with that guy? Was he a monster? Why did he seem to be getting braver and braver? He didn't know. The so-called dragonization, that is, the rising dragon transformation, has 9 stages. The first, second, and third stages, rather than improving combat power, are more about improving defense. From the first stage to the third stage, the dragon scales will continue to compress inwards, continuously improving the density and toughness of the dragon scales. The size of the dragon scales will become smaller and smaller, but harder and harder. Activate the first stage of the ascending dragon transformation, Yang Tian Dragon Transformation, pure power increases tenfold, comparable to the peak of the 6th level of the Divine Realm. And the defense is even more terrifying, I am afraid it has reached the level of a 7th level hero. In addition, during the fierce battle, Yang Tian had not used the evil suppressing Stone Lion's blood magical power to move as fast as a mountain. Otherwise, let alone Ying Long, even a 7th level hero would not be able to harm Yang Tian even a hair. As for why does Yang Tian Long transform last longer, show no signs of fatigue, and seem to have no side effects? One is Yang Tian's special physique. The second is the extent of Yang Tian's cultivation of Shenlong transformation. Yang Tian has reached the 5th stage of the Shenlong transformation, and the volume and concentration of dragon blood in his body have increased exponentially. If Xian Yuan Longer is used as a reference, Yang Tianlong's blood is dozens of times more powerful than Xian Yuan Longer's. Because of this, Yang Tian had no side effects at all when burning some dragon blood, and the duration was naturally longer. Taking the first stage of the Shenlong transformation as an example, Xian Yuan Longer can last for 10 minutes at most, but Yang Tian can last for a day or two without any trouble. Of course, the higher the level of dragon transformation, the faster the dragon blood will burn in the body. Especially starting from the 4th paragraph, the dragon's blood will burn rapidly. Even Yang Tian cannot sustain it for long, and the side effects will be very obvious. However, just Ying Long, Yang Tian is not yet able to activate the 4th stage of the dragon transformation. Are you still waiting for me to run out of strength? Yang Tian glanced at Ying Long with a half smile, and said, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you. I can maintain this level of dragon transformation for a day or two without running out of energy. As soon as these words came out, not only Ying Long was stunned, but even Xian Yuan Longer couldn't believe it. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi San. Chapter 759. Shenlong transformation is a bloodline magical power, which is innate to those with the dragon bloodline. Once such people start practicing Shenlong transformation, they will activate a meridian hidden in the body. This vein is called the dragon vein. Every time there is a breakthrough and the dragon transformation is promoted to a higher level, the dragon blood in the body will be stronger, and the volume and concentration of the dragon blood will also increase accordingly. Xianyuan Longer has already practiced the Shenlong transformation to the third level. Although she has only just broken through the third stage, it does not prevent her from continuing to try to attack the fourth stage. After all the hard work went to waste. She then understood that the fourth stage of Shenlong transformation was a hurdle, and the difficulty of breaking through this bottleneck was far greater than the previous stages of training combined. Its difficulty is comparable to that of a fish leaping over a dragon's gate. At the same time, she also had a vague premonition that once she broke through the fourth stage, she would soar into the sky, and the dragon blood in her body would be strong several times, 10 times, or even dozens of times. Could it be that Brother Yang has already practiced the dragon transformation to the fourth level, or even higher? Yes, that must be the case, otherwise why would his dragon transformation be so long-lasting? Xianyuan Longer looked at Yang Tian, with brilliant eyes. I admired him very much in my heart. She is very talented and was even called a genius in Blue Star. However, Yang Tian's talent is much higher than hers. Alice, you don't need to give Brother Yang a halo, Xianyuan Longer said. What? Alice raised her eyebrows. Right now, Yang Tian and Yang Long were fighting fiercely for 10 minutes. Although Yang Tian was in good condition, he was still at a slight disadvantage after being attacked continuously. However, as long as she gives Yang Tian a buff halo, Yang Tian will immediately show an overwhelming advantage. But Xianyuan Longer knew that since Yang Tian had already cultivated the Shenlong transformation to the fourth level or even higher, it would be easy to activate the second and third levels of the Shenlong transformation. Defeating this Yinglong would be effortless. The power of flight. Grand Commander, if this is all your strength, it would be very disappointing. Use your special move, otherwise you won't be able to break my defense, Yang Tian said loudly. In the path of martial arts in this world, cultivation state is the foundation and the most important thing. Martial arts are just the icing on the cake, not of much use. No matter how good you are at dancing with swords, guns, and sticks, it's just a flashy thing and you won't be able to kill the enemy if you don't have enough force. The only real killing moves are innate bloodline, magical power, and the secret of the Great Road. However, the insect realm and the mixed realm are blocked by the four dead realms of wind, fire, ice, and thunder and cannot understand the mystery of the avenue. Therefore, they are often ridiculed by people from the upper realm as the lower realm. People in the lower realm have too narrow vision. Throughout their lives, they just want to cultivate the body of the God King, so that they can pass through the four dead realms of wind, fire, ice, and thunder and go to the outside world, which is the so-called upper realm. Such a glance. Therefore, people in the lower realm usually only practice martial arts and not other avenues. Certainly. Martial arts itself is also one of the 3,000 avenues. So, the only killing moves for people in the lower realm are their innate bloodline and magical powers. However, it is difficult to change the natural bloodline, so magical powers are almost the only killer move and the only trump card for people in the lower realm. The magical power is divided into 4 levels: heaven, earth, Xianhuang. The heaven level is the strongest, and the yellow level is the weakest. In fact, in ancient times, there was a human level below the yellow level. It's a pity that human level magical powers are too weak, and any strong person in the divine realm who practices them will not improve their combat power. Therefore, human-level magical powers were gradually eliminated and reduced to martial arts for the cultivation and use of mortals under the divine realm. At the beginning, there were many professions and countless skills in Taixu. but most skills are just martial arts, and only a few skills can reach the level of supernatural powers. Most of the skills learned in Taeju were abandoned by Yang Tian, such as bone spears, cursed arrows, and dark fire seas, because as the cultivation level became higher and higher, the strength became stronger and stronger, those skills become less and less powerful. Of course, those skills are only at the level of martial arts, not magical powers. Take the bone spear as an example. Now, if Yang Tian could just use his divine power to condense an energy arrow, it would be as powerful as a bone spear. If this is the case, why continue to practice? It is better to put more energy into developing new magical powers that suit you. In fact, he did so, and with Feng Xian's occasional inadvertent guidance, he created several magical powers of his own. In addition, because of Feng Xian, Yang Tian has now switched to swordsmanship. In the original Taeju, Yang Tian was the master of the undead. Although this is a legal profession, because of his undead transformation, he can use swords, guns, swords, and sticks for everything, so it is not difficult to switch to swordsmanship now. Not only is it effortless, it can even be said to be like a duck in water. Feng Xian is a swordsman of the generation with extremely high talent in swordsmanship. And Yang Tian has the same soul, the same qualifications, and the same extremely high talent in swordsmanship, plus the guidance of Feng Xian, the living swordsman. His swordsmanship has improved by leaps and bounds. Most of the magical powers he has created are swordsmanship. Of course, although Yang Tian abandoned most of the skills he learned in Taeju, there were still a few that he did not give up. These skills have all reached the magical level, and I'm afraid they will be of great use in the future. The first one is damage intensification, which is a skill that has accompanied Yang Tian all the way. It can be called one of Yang Tian's ace skills and is full of memories. It is a growth type skill that currently reaches the level of yellow level magical power. The level is not high, but it is very easy to use. The reason why the level is not high is because in reality, skills and magical powers require divine power to be activated. If you encounter an opponent who is too strong, such as a person in the divine origin realm or a strong god king realm, even if the opponent is injured, Yang Tian's use of damage amplification will have no effect at all, because his divine power is too weak to cause harm to the opponent. In other words, the level of damage aggravation actually depends on Yang Tian's cultivation level. The higher his cultivation level, the stronger his divine power, and the greater the power of aggravating the damage. The second is Undercurrent, which is also a growth type magical power. Its power depends on Yang Tian's cultivation. It is currently a yellow level magical power. Undercurrent can slow down enemies as if they are stuck in a quagmire. It is a very insidious and at the same time very powerful magical power. The third one is Soul Chasing Arrow. This is amazing, it is an earth level magical power. In fact, the power of soul chasing arrows is only as powerful as Xian level magical powers. But its ability to turn and track enemies infinitely was so weird that Feng Xian rated it as an earth level magical power. The fourth and final Corpse Explosion. Feng Xian directly rated it as a heaven-level magical power, even the strongest one among the heaven-level powers. The power of the corpse explosion depends on the strength and number of Yang Tian's undead army. It can explode tens of thousands of times in power in an instant. You can kill enemies across up to 4 realms. Beyond the 4 realms. If this is not a heaven-level magical power, then what else is a heaven-level magical power? P.S. The finale. Yang Tian will next unify the insect territory, obtain the insect territory's domain spirit, and become the insect territory Little Dao Lord. After sweeping through the chaotic realm, he broke through the 4 dead realms of wind, fire, ice, and thunder, and cultivated the body of a god king. Seeking the Tao domain, there are 10 domain spirits in total. Obtaining the spirit of this domain and performing the mysteries of the great Dao are not bound by the rules of the heavenly Dao, so he becomes the Little Dao Lord. After Yang Tian further became the Little Dao Lord of the Kyodao domain, he used the Kyodao domain as his base and combined the Masters of the Dragon domain and the Wind domain to finally defeat King Yang. World Peace. Alas, the follow-up content of this book is too long. If I continue to write it, it will probably be another 1 to 2 million words. In my current state, I may not be able to finish it in a few years. Forget it, that's it. See you all again.